Hello, it's David here from Peripheral Games, and time for another vlog. A vlog. I'm confused now. Anyways, this week I was trying to think of what game to play to put in the background video that I hadn't done before that would be a little bit more interesting to watch. So I pulled out Team Fortress 2, which I haven't played in the longest time. So the match you're watching here, it was my second match when I'd started playing it, and I wasn't very good, to say the least. Yeah, wasn't very good. So, what else I got to talk about this week? Ouya. I'm sure if you know anything about the games industry, you have heard of Ouya. It is probably the most talked about thing this week, and if you don't know what it is, just in case, basically it is these people in America have announced on Kickstarter, or they've asked for $1 million on Kickstarter to make this games console based on Android. So a games console that you plug into your TV with a controller and such, based on Android, that will be open and free. Well, not free, but open and you know, easy for indie developers to get their games on it. Sorry. It'll be a lot easier for indie devs to get their games on the TV, because at the moment it's the only real thing is XBLIG, which isn't even open to all the countries in the world, and it's not even open to Ireland. Why? I haven't even experimented with it because, in fact, it's a little bit weird. Microsoft have made it so that you cannot download games off Xbox Live Indie if you don't live in Ireland, or if you live in Ireland you can't download games from it, but if you live in Ireland you can upload games and submit games, which I think is kind of a weird thing, but it's Microsoft. So the only real option for console games, to get your game on console games that isn't big contracts and Microsoft talkings and Sony and stuff, is that. So they propose with Ouya that because it's based on Android, it'll be fairly easy to develop games for it, and it'll be very open. But people have gone kind of insane over it, and I read a few articles sort of on both sides of the story to kind of decide for myself whether it was good or bad or whatever. And I've kind of decided that it's great and it sounds great, but I mean, they haven't really shown us anything concrete. It's purely an idea. Personally, I haven't donated to the Kickstarter thing, just because I'm not 100% sure what'll happen. They got a lot to do as well. They want to release in March next year, and they got a crap load to do in that time. But if it works, it'll be great. But another thing they said was that they want it to be easy to root, and root is to basically like get access to the core of the system, and get root access is to be able to modify everything in the system and have complete control over the system. And now this is great, and they also want it to be easily hackable, which is an odd concept. I mean, it's kind of cool that it's going to be fairly easy to root and fairly easy to open up and mod the system, but that's opening yourself up and becoming very very vulnerable to piracy, which I take quite seriously in the game industry. I don't like piracy at all. As a game developer, I find it quite insulting that people would want to pirate your game, and I think doing something like that, I mean, it's cool and it's great and stuff, but they're gonna have to pull something out of the bag to stop piracy, because it could seriously get kind of dangerous. The other thing is, I don't know. They haven't really said anything about it, but if it's like XBLIG, where there's not really there's not very much screening on what games can get put up, you just sort of submit your game, and if there's no bugs, it gets put on. That sounds great from a game developer's point of view, but if you just sit back and think about it for a second, they will essentially allow any game to be put on the store. So it kind of worries me what's going to happen if any game can be put on the store. The store is just going to be saturated with mediocre to bad games that very inexperienced game developers have put up. And I don't want to insult any game developers or anything, but I mean, like, indie games on Steam are great. Steam is one of my favorite stores for indie game developers to sell their games, because they're not closed and they don't need fancy contracts to get your game on, but they have a decent screening system. So the indie games that are put up on Steam are genuinely all good. There's no bad indie games on Steam, because they've been properly screened and properly controlled. And I think if you just allow anyone to put up stuff on the store, you're just going to get saturated. There's going to be like thousands of games. If it's popular, there's going to be thousands of games that are okay, and then maybe one or two which are particularly good. And like, this can also be unfair to game devs that have actually put so much effort into their game, and they've created a really good game, but it just gets lost in just oceans of mediocre games, which I find kind of off-putting. But I mean, these are all just speculations. I completely stand. In fact, I would like to be proven wrong about my theories about this console. I think if it was super successful, there was not very much piracy, and the quality of the games on the store were decent, that would just be great. It would probably be my favorite console for that, if that were to happen. And that's pretty much it. I hope it's good, but because we haven't been shown it in concrete, I really don't know if it is. What else are we going to talk about? Oh yeah, Scale's game engine. It's kind of difficult to be working on a game engine as an indie dev like me, because there's nothing really to show. And if I were to show you the game engine, it would be some static code libraries and a blue screen, because that's pretty much all it does. I've done a lot of work in the last week. I've done a lot of sort of groundwork for entity management and the component-based system, because it will be component-based. All the groundwork for that has been done, and it's nearly sort of ready. Just all the components need to be created, and the rendering actually still needs to be done as well. But even though I've put this much work into it, all it does at the moment is display a blue screen. So there's not really an awful lot I can show you with it, but still. I've also decided that I want it to be open source. Originally I had this idea where, because I don't want to give it away for free, completely for free, because if you were me right now and you put this much work into something, and I mean, I've only been working on it for a couple of weeks, it's going to be months and months and months before it is viable for making commercial games. But when you've put this much work into something, you want a reward of some sort. And my original idea was to give away the engine in full force, all of the engine's features, free for commercial and free use, and then charge something fairly small, like $100 or something, to access the source code. But the fact is, the engine's been designed in such a way that you really don't need to see the source code. I mean, if you were a big company and you wanted to port the engine to Flash or something like that, then obviously you would need the source code. But for your average game developer, you really don't need the source code. It's just not necessary. So I come up with another idea, and I would like you to leave your thoughts in the comments about what you think about this idea, and are you on board and such. My second idea was to make it open source. Completely open source, so you can just go on the website, download the source code, and download the engine in full force, completely for free. And you can use the engine for free games for free, and look at the source code for free and all this. But if you want to release a commercial game using the engine, you got to pay a small fee. And when I say small fee, I mean like small. I mean like $50, $50 to $100, a small amount of money. So yeah, leave in the comments what you think about this one. So the first one, which is basically free for anything, and then pay $100 or so to access the source code, or the other one where free and open source for non-commercial, and then pay like $50 for commercial use of the engine. But anyways, this is because I've only been working on it for 2 weeks. It's kind of early to be talking about this kind of stuff because really it doesn't do very much at the moment. But when it does something, I will be leaving. I will be updating you. I guarantee you on what the engine does. Another thing I've been doing at the moment, I've actually decided today to only work on this, is the prototype for the iOS game, which is coming along okay. There's still a fair bit of work to be done. I don't want to work on it for any more than a month or two for a concept game, and this is while working on the engine, while balancing my project, my work between the engine and the iOS game. What was I going to say again? I don't want the iOS game project to last more than 2 months. I mean, it doesn't have fancy graphics, it's not polished or anything, it's just a concept game to see if the game works. And I don't want to spend too long on it. But when that's at a playable state, I will put up some content about that and probably let you. I don't know how you can deploy it. Probably give out. I don't know. But yeah, I'll show you the game when it's done. But anyways, the video is coming to an end in 40 seconds, I believe. So thank you for watching. Oh, another thing I wanted to say very quickly. I wanted to do another follow-up tutorial. Okay, the video's over now. Never mind. I'll leave what I was going to say in the comments. And bye for now. And remember to comment and like the video.